I've been involved in doing a lot of blockchain stuff, and there's lots of arguments and fights and discussions and hand-wringing within the communities, which can take us away from the bigger picture of the true progress that's being made with blockchain. So our next presentation is going to be about blockchain and APIs and, important thing, of monetization. So take it away, guys.
Thank you, Roger. All right. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for watching. I know that there are a lot of people watching that have been waiting for this talk for some time. It has been in the making for several months. So the discussion in this talk is going to be about how startups can monetize their APIs. So basically, they can get an additional revenue stream from their APIs by selling that data to smart contracts. My name is Fernando. I'm the senior manager for the technical team of the Oracle Startup Program. Oracle has been running a startup program for about 3 years with great success, with hundreds of startups currently in the program and many more coming. So the agenda here is actually pretty short, but we're going to give you an overview of APIs and blockchain, just so you understand the opportunity. I mean, why would a startup want to sell their data to the blockchain, and how popular APIs have become in the recent years. Then I'm going to walk you through the architecture of a solution that I have been working on with my team and that we offer to the startups that are in the program. I'm going to give you some examples of startups that are currently in the program that could be using this new solution going forward. I'm going to make a big announcement. So there's a lot of people from one of the involved communities, from the Chainlink community, waiting for this. So it's going to be a pretty big announcement of a collaboration between the Oracle Startup Program and Chainlink. And I'm going to leave you with some of the next steps. This is actually the beginning of a 6-month or maybe more run, and I'm going to talk about that later. So to talk about APIs and blockchain, I did invite a friend, Pablo, who's here, who works in the Oracle Customer Innovation Labs in São Paulo. We're both from Brazil, and I have been bugging this guy for 6 months about this talk, so I think it's only fair that he gets to share some of the spotlight and talk to you for a few minutes about APIs and blockchain before we start talking about the architecture of these solutions. So, Pablo, take it away.
Thank you, Fernando. Well, to start this talk, I will start with a question. Why connecting startups' API to the blockchain? And I was writing a report for Smart Beer recently this year, and some interesting facts. 3/4 of startups are already developing internal and external APIs. And the reason, half of them is developing to partner with other companies, both consuming API for data or selling their data, monetizing their API. Some data about blockchain. The World Economic Forum in Davos recently did a research and estimated that by 2027, 10% of the global GDP will be stored on blockchains. So that's nearly $8 trillion. And talking about blockchain and startups and APIs, the same study by Smart Bear identified that nearly a third of startups believe that blockchain will be the biggest growth in API adoption will be because of blockchain. But if you do a comparison about startups, APIs, and blockchain, you have a tale of two different worlds. You have startups APIs that configurability, integrity, security depends on a bunch of factors that is not easily controllable. So it is chaotic environment. Contrasting blockchain environment where data is highly secure, reliable, and trustworthy if it is on-chain in a blockchain. But there's a lot of opportunities to unite those worlds, but comes with a bunch of challenges also. And now I'll let Fernando walk you through of some of those challenges and recommend a possible solution. Thank you.
Yeah, so as Pablo was saying, there is a technical challenge that many of you watching may be aware of, which is that it's just not a good idea, to put it simply, it's just not a good idea for a smart contract to go to an external API without a middleware in the middle, right? There's a lot of things for the middleware to do, like in traditional middleware, right? There's a lot of things that a middleware can do to reduce the burden on the application. It's the same as many platforms that we had before, and it's the same with smart contracts. So, and then there's the meme, there's always a meme in the blockchain talk, which is, the concern is bringing bad data to a smart contract is just not a good idea. So as Pablo was saying, the blockchain is highly secure, it's reliable and trustworthy, you've heard it many times before, but the external data isn't, right? So if your smart contract takes input from somebody else, from some other source, and that data and that bad data, gets in your smart contract, it doesn't really matter, how secure or reliable or trustworthy the blockchain is. That blockchain is now ruined, right? It's now dealing with bad data, which is definitely not a good idea. So in order to fix that, a number of vendors have introduced a middleware, as I mentioned before, and I'm working especially with one, which I'm going to talk to you about, called Chainlink. So the solution that we have developed and that we are now offering to the startups in the Oracle Startup Program starts with the Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. So for those of you that don't use the Oracle Cloud Infrastructure is it's the infrastructure services provided by Oracle, which are similar to other clouds. So we're talking here about basic compute network and storage. Oracle also offers a managed blockchain service. So, and this is for enterprises, right? Oracle is as you know, is primarily targeted at enterprises. So this is a managed service for enterprises based on Hyperledger Fabric, right? That has been very successful. So I can't really share the numbers, but this thing has been selling very well, right? So enterprises are signing up for this service to start their blockchain projects, right? And again, based on Hyperledger. So inside that platform, right, what you get, simply put, is a number of nodes that have at least two things, right? So they have a copy of the ledger, right? You've heard about it before. A copy of the ledger, aka a copy of the data. And they have what Hyperledger calls chain codes, which are the smart contracts that I was referring to before. So in Hyperledger, they're called chain codes. So to a minimum, that's what you would expect in each node in your blockchain running in the Oracle blockchain platform. On top of that, in this solution, I add an Ethereum client because in order to get to Chainlink, which again is going to be the middleware between the Oracle blockchain platform and the startup's APIs, I need to go to Ethereum. So this is an example which is not as common as you would think of one blockchain going to another blockchain. So this is a private blockchain, right? What you would call it. Permissioned blockchain going to a public blockchain, non-permissioned blockchain, on its way to a startup's API, right? You would anyway go to the external world, right? But in this case, you're going to first go to Ethereum and then to the startup's API. So using that Ethereum client, chain codes reach Ethereum, right? And in Ethereum, you have you also have a few components that are important to understand. First is you got a copy of the ledger. This is not the same ledger, obviously, as in the blockchain platform. So the Oracle blockchain platform, that's the enterprise using it, right? That's the enterprise data, right? In Ethereum, there is also a ledger, but it has nothing to do with the enterprise ledger. And there you have two new components that you may not have heard before. One of them is called Chainlink. So the company and the software have the same name. So what that Chainlink does, right? It's going to serve as what in blockchain is called an oracle, right? So it's going to be a piece of software, right, which is also a contract. It's a piece of software in between the chain codes in the Oracle blockchain platform and the API. So that's a piece of code that you need to write. That piece of code uses another piece of code called external adapter, which is the code that actually makes the call to the external API. So what we're building here is a solution to get to the startups APIs, which starts with chain codes, which may be written actually in a variety of languages and run in the Oracle blockchain platform. This is something that the enterprise writes, right? So this is the Oracle customers writing it. Oracle, 430,000 customers in 175 countries, right? So those are the Oracle customers writing these chain codes. And going through Ethereum and Chainlink to get to a startup's API and have the same high security, reliability, and trustworthiness that they would get if they were only dealing with data that is already in the blockchain, with data that is on-chain, right? So it is a lot of software to write, right? And I'm going to go back to this later. So if you are an enterprise and you want to consume, let's say, enterprises are never small, right? It's never about consuming one API, right? That's not going to happen, right? So I've been in the enterprise software business for 20 years, and I've already found myself working for companies that had like 600 systems just around the one that I was responsible for, right? So enterprise is also always big, right? So if an enterprise wanted to consume, let's say, 10 APIs, right, in their chain codes, they would need to build by themselves, these chain links and these external adapters for each one of those APIs, right? So that's a lot of work for the enterprise, right? That's also a lot of work for the startup, right? So if the startup decided to in advance to having a deal, write these chain links and write these external adapters and make those available to the enterprise, that would still be a lot of code, but when you're talking startups, there's another problem, which is they have few resources, right? They don't have the same money as the enterprise, so they may not really have the capacity, so to say, right, to write all of this code in advance and let it sit there until an enterprise actually wants it. So we have a problem, right? So the enterprises using enterprise blockchain in a product like the Oracle blockchain platform, they do want to consume external APIs with all these guarantees that Chainlink and decentralized middleware like it offer. But it's a lot of software for them to write by themselves. And startups, even though they kind of have an incentive, they're probably going to have trouble, or they're going to face challenges writing all of the software in advance to having an actual deal, right? So it's a classic startups problem, and I think a company like Oracle and our startup program can greatly help to fix that, and I'm going to tell you how. But before I get there, I want to give you some examples of startups that are currently in the program that are already working with me and my team to implement the solution, right? So companies that are either already working or considering working with us for this solution. The first one is a company from Brazil called Smart Trips, right? We have companies everywhere, right? So the Oracle Startup Program is truly global, so we have startups from pretty much everywhere. Just like Oracle has offices everywhere, we have startups from everywhere. And Smart Trips is from Brazil. What Smart Trips does is pretty interesting. So if you're a business traveler and you pick a cheaper alternative for a flight or a hotel, they take the most expensive flight that you could possibly pick. They pick the difference between that price and the price of the alternative that you picked, and they give you that money as credit, as points, right? So they have the ability to answer that question, which is, was this flight a cheaper alternative for my employee at booking time? So they have the capability. They have an API that can give that information, right? They are not a blockchain company, right? So we're not talking here about connecting blockchain companies to yet another blockchain company, right? That's actually pretty common. What we are aiming for is a solution to connect known blockchain startups that are not necessarily using blockchain today, to the blockchain revolution, right? To make them available in blockchain and to help them to monetize what they have. So this is an API that Smart Trips could potentially monetize, right? So it's very possible, it's very likely that there are companies outside of Smart Trips itself that would want to consume that information, right? And that's the kind of information that you can think of a smart contract that could use that, right? And by the way, these potential consumers of an API like that even include people already working with Smart Trips, right? So perhaps the Smart Trips itself is not using blockchain, but a company working with them is using blockchain and like to consume that event, to consume that information from Smart Trips through an API, right? So this is the first example. The second example comes from Asia, from India. It's a company called Incraf. What Incraf does is also very, very interesting. They monitor inventory of a certain brand, right? They work for brands. So they monitor the inventory, and they can tell you when that inventory needs to be rebalanced across retailers. So let's say you have two retailers. One of them, for some reason, starts to sell exceptionally well. So something happens, and this one retailer starts to sell exceptionally well beyond what was planned. These guys can tell you when that happened, right? So again, that's the kind of information that they could sell, right? So in addition to have that information consumed by their own systems, they could sell that information to other parties, a third party. They could share that with a partner. I mean, it's again not very difficult to think of somebody around their ecosystem, around that company that could use that data. Again, Incraf, like Smart Trips, is not a blockchain company, right? They don't even use blockchain, but they have an API that can give you that answer, and I'm sure they would like to monetize it, right? It doesn't take you much time work with startups or with anyone, right, to learn that people like to make more money, right? To get a new revenue streams, and APIs are this unexplored revenue stream for most startups, right? I should actually take the time to say that there are actually startups that sell their APIs, right? It's not. Actually, it's not as usual as you would think, but startups do sell their APIs. But they do that with like a separate product, right? A separate subscription service, right? Other than through the blockchain, right? And even though it's not really the topic of my conversation here, you could argue that selling data in the blockchain is considerably easier, right, than selling it with your own subscription service, because there's a lot of things that you do for a subscription service that you don't need to do in the blockchain, including crypto payments, right? So if you're getting all your payments in crypto, right, that makes your life much easier than taking fiat money, right, and dealing with the crazy, completely nuts global payment system. So the third example comes from Europe, from the UK, right? It's a company called IGLIs. And Idealize is in the travel time search business. So what they can do is they can tell you how long it's going to take for you to get somewhere, and how long, for example, it's going to take you to take a package to a customer, right? So they have an API that can tell you that. Idealize, by the way, already sells API. They have an API product, right? They sell access to the API, not to smart contracts, not in the blockchain, but they do have an API. And that's the question that they can answer. How long is it going to take for you to deliver a package to a customer, right? So there you go. I have 3 startups that are already in the Oracle Startup Program, which is called Oracle for Startups. They are all over the place, right? And one of them is in the Americas, the other is in Asia, the other is in Europe. All these 3 guys could be selling their data in the blockchain, but they're not, right? And again, I think that a company like Oracle and a startup program like ours should be able to help these companies to create that additional revenue stream, and why not? And also create this ecosystem around them, right? So what I usually say is that Oracle's and all the other big vendors, their biggest asset is the ecosystem that they created around them, right? So there are millions of people certified in Oracle technology. There are, hundreds of, thousands of partners and thousands of, ISVs working with Oracle. That took us, a few decades to create, and that's something that a startup can. It's very hard for a startup to create by itself. So again, I think. In addition to just giving them the technological help, right, to give them the support that they need to connect the APIs to blockchain, Oracle's contribution can really be, helping these companies to create this ecosystem around them, right? So to find these partners, to communicate with these partners, and to make their business more successful. So I have an announcement, and I'm sure Twitter's is going to like this right now. So the announcement that I'm making here is that, to support startups that want to sell their API in the blockchain, other than just talking about it, right? Other than just giving you a diagram for it, right? Or to give you a link with the code for you to do that, right? Other than just doing that, right? We are actually going to develop. We're going to pick 50 startups, and we are going to do it with them, right? So we're going to pick 50 qualified startups and develop chain links for them. Again, chain links is the software between the Oracle blockchain platform and the startups' APIs. We're going to pick 50 startups, and we're going to develop chain links for each one of them. And we're going to prepare them to sell to our customers, which are many, right? So we're actually going to do it, right, with them, rather than just tell them how to do it, right? And by doing that, again, I think we do more than just give technology support. We actually help those companies grow, right? As I said, startups vary, more often than not. They want to do things, but they don't have the resources or they don't have the time. So we're going to fix that. So my team, the team that I manage, is going to give, is going to give an architect to the effort. We're going to form a squad with one architect from Oracle, one specialist from Oracle, and one or maybe 2 resources from the startup. We're going to get together and we're going to co-develop these chain links with these 50 companies from all over the world. And we are going to announce these 50 companies in the Oracle Code One conference in San Francisco in September, right? The Oracle Startup Program is open to all startups, right? So any startup, that is watching me right now, right, or can join the program, right? There's no selection, right? So any startup can join, right? Any startup from any country, in any industry, it doesn't matter if it's B2C or B2B, it doesn't matter, right? You can join the program to participate in this initiative, right? And on top of, getting the chance to to work with my team to develop these chain links, you're going to get, by joining the program, free cloud credits, a 70% discount. So when your credits run out, and you still have a 70% discount, which is huge, right? And makes us cheaper than anyone else, right? So we give you free cloud credits, we give you a 70% discount, we give you unlimited access to Oracle's 24/7 by 365 technical support with additional Q&A and escalation support from my team. So again, we go beyond other programs because we just don't give you credits, we just don't give you a discount. We give you unlimited access to support and additional support on top of that with our own team for Q&A and escalation, right? And that's among other benefits. So you can go to the program website right now, www.oracle.com/startup, and join the program. This is an equity-free program, right? We're not in the business of, buying companies through the program. That's not what we're doing, right? So it's an equity-free program that offers you all those benefits, and it's also going to offer you a special opportunity to work with my team, right? To work with me and to work with my team in the development of chain links that are going to help you to monetize your APIs in the blockchain. So again, other than just telling you how, giving you diagrams or code, I'm actually going to do it for you, right? So, but I need startups, right? So if you're watching this and you want to explore the idea, right, with me and with my team to sell your data to a blockchain, right? Join the program now, and then we'll talk, right? Join the program, and then we'll talk. We will discuss the opportunity. We're trying to find, maybe we can even find customers for your API in the program itself, right? Again, hundreds of startups, right? Or, I have this other 430,000 customers of mine that I'm sure you may be interested to reach, and they may be interested in consuming your data in on the Oracle blockchain platform. So again, a very special opportunity, a very important announcement, and we are going to announce the winners in the Oracle Code One conference in September. Right? It's September 16 and 19. I don't have the date yet, but it's the session's confirmed. It's going to be in September in Oracle Code One. So before I go, let me leave you with some of the next steps here. Right? So the first step is any startup that is interested in monetizing their APIs in the blockchain can join the Oracle for Startups program now, right? Free, site is up, right? Go ahead and join the program, right? And then we're going to talk. The next step is, which is already in progress, my team is going to publish new content about how to run Chainlink and Ethereum on OCI, on Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, right? So this is also for the startups, but this is also for other entrepreneurs or other members of the Link community, my fellow Marines, right? Which may be interested to learn how to run Chainlink and also Ethereum on OCI. So we're going to publish that content in the next few weeks or months, right? In between now and September. So we're going to publish that content in the official program blog, right? In the official Oracle for Startups blog, right? Then we're going to also publish content about how to develop these chain codes, right? So how to actually write code that runs in the Oracle blockchain platform and goes through Ethereum, right? And Chainlink to a startup API. So we are actually going to publish content for you to learn how to do it, right? So for those startups that are not selected, right, to work with us, you're going to get, those startups are going to get instructions to do it by themselves, right? So we're going to publish content about, how an enterprise can develop the whole thing by itself, if they choose to do so, or how a startup can write the chain link and deploy it in OCI and connect it to Oracle blockchain platform. So that's another piece of content that we're going to publish in between now and September. Then in September we have the Oracle Code One talk. So I fly again from Brazil to the US for a conference. It's going to be the Oracle Code One conference here in San Francisco. And after that, we start developing the chain links, right? So after I have selected the startups, right, we're going to form the squads with the 50 of them, right, using the resources of my team. And we're going to start developing these things and announcing them, right? So it is certainly going to take some time, right, for us to develop. It's 50 pieces of code, right? So it's going to take us some time, and this is the kind of thing that you also want to space a little bit, right? Just to give every startup a little bit of the spotlight. So we are talking about making announcements of new chain links for maybe a year, right? So this is not only Oracle, the Oracle for Startups telling you that we are going to develop 50 chain links in collaboration with the chain link company. This is Oracle for Startups telling you that we're going to do it for a year, right? We're going to do it 50 times over a year, right? And we're going to publish this code and run these announcements, all over a year, right? I'm thinking it may take about a year to complete the 50, right? And nothing really stops us from picking other 50 companies after this. Again, Oracle has the resources to support startups, has a lot of resources to support the startups, and has all the interest in the world to connect them to the Oracle blockchain platform and to offer that connectivity to our customers, right? So we have all the interest in the world to do it. So we're going to do it with 50 now. Let's see how it goes, right? And we'll take it from there, right? So again, before I go, the important thing is, if you work in a startup or if you own a startup that could potentially sell data, API data, right, to smart contracts in a blockchain, right? If you're now thinking, yeah, that sounds like something that I could do, right? Or you know somebody that works in a startup that could use that, please invite them to join the program, right? So to go to oracle.com/startup to read about the program. There's also, obviously a channel for you to get in touch with us for additional questions before you sign up. Take a look, sign up, right? Join the program, right? And I'm going to be more than glad to work with you and your team, right, to explore this business opportunity, right, and maybe select you to be one of the 50 companies that are going to work with us, to co-develop this code, right, and this content. And have a question? I'm not sure I can hear you. Oh, thank you. Okay, two questions. So the first is how we're going to pick startups. What's going to be the criteria, right, for selecting startups? Yeah. So this is all really very discretionary, honestly. But I'm sure we're going to pick startups that make the best, that have the best use cases, right? That have the best use cases, that have the best stories, right? But it's really discretionary. So there's a group there's a group in management that is going to make that decision. But yeah, it's only fair to think that we're going to pick, the best use case, the best stories, because we want to associate that with. That's the kind of thing we want to associate our program with. And the second is how much we're going to pay the people who publish that data, right? Again, Oracle is not going to take any of that money, right? We're going to develop the code and you're going to sell it, right? We're not going to take any of the money, right? Well, we'll do the whole thing for free, and once you have the chain link, you go live your life, right? You go use it and you go sell to the customers. We don't take any share of that money, right? It's your money, right? In terms of business, I would probably be selling the blockchain platform. I would be selling the infrastructure maybe, right? Or maybe not, right? Maybe you're going to take this chain link and you're going to sell to somebody running on Ethereum, right? I'm fine with that, right? I'm fine with that. It's your code, you know. When this is done, it's going to be open source code, right? Because it's just easier, right? So we're going to develop this code, and it's your code, right? And then you can do whatever you want with it. You have another question? Yeah. 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 So the question is, what is it what is in it for Oracle, right? And you could actually ask that question not only about this initiative, but about the program in general, right? So why would Oracle have a startup program, right? What's in it for Oracle? Again, we don't charge, we don't take equity, so what is it for Oracle? It's really about, well, in the case of this initiative, it is really about offering more options to the customers that use Oracle blockchain platform, right? So we want to be able to go to those customers, again, many customers, and tell them, hey, you know, in case you're developing smart contracts, and honestly, enterprise blockchain projects are all about smart contracts, right? So in the enterprise, even though there is talk about crypto, right? It's the blockchain users that they make. It's not about crypto. It's about smart contracts, right? So that's what's happening there, right? So there's an example that I usually give, which is, you know, if even in between two big business applications, right? So I'm going to, you know, obviously use Oracle products here, but let's say that you have that you're going to take the information that Smart Trips gives you, that a certain employee did not pick the most expensive flight that they could, but they picked a cheaper flight. You may want to pay some bonus to the employee, right? So you could then make that decision in a smart contract that is in between Smart Trips and your HCM or your Oracle HCM system, right? Your HR system, right? So that's the kind of thing that you could do with Smart. So again, our interest is really, you know, selling the service, right? So selling the cloud services, right? And also, it is true that many startups choose to stay in the Oracle cloud, right? To stay with Oracle after they participate in the program, right? It's very common, right? So startups end up, by joining the program, they end up having the opportunity to try our technology, and they decide to move from other clouds to ours. So yeah, there's a lot of interest in, or you know, for Oracle at play. So I'm run out of time. Thank you so much to all of you that are here, and all of you that are online, and all of you that are watching this. After it is published in YouTube. Thank you so much for being here. And again, if you work for a startup or you know somebody that works in a startup that would be interested in this, please ask them to join the program. You give me the startups, I give you the chain links. All right? Thank you.
We'll see. Everybody sign up. Now's the chance. So thanks again for everybody, and thanks for attending. We have someone lost a set of Subaru keys, I've been told. So if you happen to find a set of keys that are not yours and that say Subaru, please turn them into the registration desk, and someone will be relieved. So thanks for coming here. As you can see, the expo floor is open. A lot of our tracks are starting to go on now. Again, some of them are here, some on the other side of the building in the 200 rooms, other side of the building and upstairs. We will reconvene here at 6:20 for a power panel about multi-cloud. It will be great as always. Thanks again.